Each day during our time here in Missouri, we stayed on this beautiful family homestead. And the views here were absolutely gorgeous. And while the Gibson family, who lives here now, are just getting started on this property, made us feel like it was a home away from home.
I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great. Running out of town just to celebrate. The fortune's here to stay.
And I know this sounds weird, but it was so nice to wake up and hear the roosters crowing outside. And then just right outside the front door, see chickens and ducks. Man, it really was just like home.
Life is going by so fast. One breath away.
And today was the first day of Baker Creek's Spring Planting Festival. And we were super excited and looking forward to attending this event. Micah was so excited, he was up early with me, and he went around the house waking everybody up.
What are you doing?
Good job, Micah. Say it again. That might be too much loving for her this morning. Giving her some kisses too? Not so loud. Give him a kiss. I hope you can't reach him. And joining us on this trip was a good family friend and someone who comes and helps us out on our farm in North Carolina, our friend Ben. And I gave Ben a warning about what could possibly happen at the Spring Planting Festival. So we want to warn you guys that there might be some people here that may already know who you are. So I want everyone to go ahead and practice your posing and be ready. So when people want a picture with you, you have your pose down. You just have your pose down. Let's see yours, Ben. What a pose there, Ben. That's quite the pose. Let's see your pose, Micah. Do you have a pose? Oh man, that's a good one. Selah, do you have a pose? There you go. It's just like, oh, I'm just Selah. It just screams out, I'm just Selah. What about Mommy? Does she have her pose down? And Josiah, where'd he go? Where's your pose? Oh, he's afraid of the paparazzi. He's running. He's running. He's gone. Ah! He gets a little camera shy sometimes, I guess. And as we traveled from the Gibson homestead to Baker Creek, we had to go down this long gravel road. And at one point in the gravel road, there was a stream that was going through the road. And we had to drive through that. And when we did, it made this big splash. And we had to drive through that creek on the road, whatever you want to call it, each time we go back and forth from the Gibson homestead to Baker Creek. But after the creek in the road, we came around the corner where there was a small bridge. I've never really seen a bridge like this, but it held us and we got over the bridge. And as we arrived at Baker Creek, it was so beautiful that morning. The area had been experiencing a lot of flooding and some tornadoes for the past couple days, but this day was gorgeous. We arrived early, but it was amazing to see the volumes of people that began showing up for this festival. And we were actually there the night before, and there was hardly any vendors set up. But this morning, people arrived at 5 a.m. and began setting up, and there were vendors set up all over the place. And Lacie set up a vendor table for us where she sold a number of her Yurt Mama products as well as the Bootstrap Farmer grow bags. And while she was setting up the table, the kids, Ben and I, were just hanging out in the speaker's tent while we were waiting for Lacie to finish and for the festival to begin. The kids were a little anxious, so they just wanted to have some fun too and burn off some energy. And then the gates opened up and the festival began. And it was like a big party. The people were just flocking in, music was playing, some bluegrass going, and they were just jamming. And then the vendors were there and you could just feel the energy. And people were buying plants, and actually people were even bringing dogs around. And I've never been to a party like this, but man, let me tell you, it was fun and the energy was great. Doug and Stacy kickstarted the festival off with being the first speakers. And Ben was really excited about seeing Doug and Stacy. I think he was kind of starstruck. And he actually had a chance to talk with Doug, and he was super surprised that Doug had seen our videos and actually knew who Ben was. And after their talk, the kids just had to go give Doug and Stacy a big hug. Did you give Stacy a hug yet?
Yeah.
You did? Micah, did you give Stacy a hug yet?
You gotta start.
Give Stacy a hug.
Do it. How's my boy?
Give her a hug. You wanted to give her a hug.
Come here, I get a big hug. You're a big boy now, aren't you?
Oh. And not only was this like a big party, it was almost like a big reunion at the same time. So in addition to meeting up with Doug and Stacy, we also saw our friends, Kip and Carrie and their kids from Thousands of Roots. And I was able to see Rachel Parent, who was also a speaker there, who was also a speaker who we met while we were in California at the National Heirloom Expo last year. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Pretty amazing what you're doing.
Pretty fun.
Were you in California too? I thought I saw you there.
Harvey Squad.
And not only is this event great for adults, it's also fun for kids as well. Baker Creek does a lot to help provide kids with materials and things to help cultivate and pass on the passion for gardening and preserving heirlooms. And here at the festival, the kids just love seeing the baby chicks and ducklings that were around at different vendors. What are those, Micah? Yeah, those are chicks.
These ducklings just took a bath.
And they enjoyed seeing the bees that were on display. Sure is. And all around the festival there were vendors set up for kids. But in this one area they had designed specifically for kids. It was just this large tent where they had a number of activities going. And at one of the stations in the children's tent, they had the Pollinator Posse. And Selah remembered the Pollinator Posse from back in California from last year. And at this station, they show how the different pollinators, the bees, the bats, the butterflies, etc., how they pollinate the flowers.
How's this flower going to get its pollen over there? So they need help, right? Because they can't move. So we have these guys called pollinators. So they're bees or bats or butterflies or hummingbirds. What kind of pollinator would you guys like to be today? Hummingbird.
Ooh.
You're going to be a bee. Okay. Be another butterfly. Okay, good.
They also had a station where the kids could make their very own incubator homes for carpenter bees. But regretfully, I was not able to stay the whole day for this first day of the festival. Micah began to have a tough time, so I took him back with me to the Gibson homestead while the rest of the family and Ben remained and had a great time. And then came the second day of the festival, and we were just as excited about the second day as we were the first day. And during our time here, we noticed that our relationship and our closeness to the Gibson family began to grow. They have a lot of things in common to us as far as beliefs and a number of other things, and we just absolutely grew to love them. But Josiah in particular really enjoyed developing his relationship with one of their sons named Ty. And each morning he would go out with Ty and they would gather the eggs together.
Both of you guys are pros. You've done this before. They're just like us. When you're really homesteading, you don't have these really nice fancy coops that don't really serve a purpose. Just whatever works. Oh. Have you watched them do this before, Josiah?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
And the Gibsons even gifted us with a greens juice that morning, and I was so happy because for me, I've been on a lot of juicing and plant-based diet that I've been doing. I was so happy to get that greens juice.
Bottle full of goodness, green goodness. Yummy.
And then once again, it was time to go down the gravel road, over the river and through the woods. Just kidding. Over the creek, well, through the woods still, and then over the small bridge, back to Baker Creek. And it was so great to hear the music again, and I just love the banjo. And on the speaking schedule this day was full of homesteading YouTubers. Kicking off the speaking for the day was Living Traditions, and this was their first talk ever, and they absolutely packed the house with people wanting to hear them speak. And a little bit after that was VW Homestead.
We tried to talk to some YouTubers that were here last year, like Jake from White House on the Hill.
We've been watching on YouTube.
We were so socially awkward. It was ridiculous. We were so embarrassed
I
after we
still feel
left.
socially awkward, so.
Roots and Refuge was also there giving a talk, and I even gave one as well. Talked about how to get fit through gardening.
And here, I'll go over this one. I'm just pruning some trees, some branches here. But what am I doing at the same time I'm pruning here? I'm getting, think about that machine at the gym. You're replacing that machine. But once again, you're getting something done at the same time.
I also had the chance to hang out and chat with Jake from White House on the Hill and hang out with his family. It was really nice seeing them there. And it was also really, really neat to have a number of our subscribers and fans like you come up and talk with us. And it's just so encouraging and it's so touching. And we really appreciate you all coming up and talking with us. Just to think that coming to these type of events, wondering if anybody would recognize you at all, and then have the number of people that came up to us at the Spring Planting Festival was truly, truly inspiring and encouraging us to continue on with the work that we're doing. So thank you all to those of you who saw us at the Spring Planting Festival, and hopefully we'll see more of you next year. And we're also planning to go to the National Heirloom Expo in Santa Rosa, California, so make sure you come meet us there too. One of the biggest things that I notice about this festival and Baker Creek in general is that they seem to attract people from all walks of life, from all types of backgrounds, from all types of religions, religious and political beliefs, who all share the one thing in common, and that is food. We all have to eat, and we all should be concerned about preserving our food. And it is just so neat to see everyone coming together and coming together in a way that was peaceful. I absolutely enjoy it. And it saddened me that just prior to this festival, some people were getting negative about one particular speaker who was on the lineup who said some negative comments in the past. And Baker Creek actually went ahead and removed the speaker, but it saddened me that people were beginning to turn on Baker Creek because of one particular speaker. So one of the questions that I asked several people while we were here at the festival is why Baker Creek, why they believe in and support Baker Creek.
My name is Jess.
And I'm Maya.
We're with Roots and Refuge Farm, and we love Baker Creek. We support this company. They're family-owned, family-run, and it seems like everybody who works here kind of becomes family.
Yeah, for sure.
But they have been so precious to us, and we've gotten to know the heart of this company. We've learned how much they want to help people and just get people in the garden. There's so much passion here for growing food, and I love it so much.
I agree.
When we first started gardening, our seeds came from you. We have just stuck with them all these years and watched them grow. I think we've been buying from them for about 8 years, 9 years now.
It's been a good while. The emphasis on seed saving, rare seeds, locally grown, supporting the local communities, and just pretty well about everything that they've done, I've really kind of enjoyed.
I love that they go around and try to preserve the seeds from all over the world. I think that's amazing so that the rest of us can try it. I'm trying to grow the Chinese green fruit radish this year, so I'm pretty excited to see what happens.
Hey, it's Prepsteader Bob with the Self-Reliant Roadshow. We're here at Baker Creek at the Spring Festival. If you have got to put this place on your bucket list. This is amazing. All heirloom seeds, all doing this for, well, basically what the Self-Reliant Roadshow is about, same principle, for God, family, country. One of the big advantages of a company like Baker Creek is with heirloom seeds, they're going to go extinct if somebody isn't the steward of doing this type of process. Baker Creek has a whole entire facility where they take all those seeds in and they market it, give them out, provide them to you. Heirloom seeds are, I mean, it's basically the nutritional dense material that we're looking for raising a family, for living out in the country, for having your homestead. Make sure you check out Baker Creek, rareseeds.com. It's an awesome place to be.
My name is John Jackson. I'm the executive director of Stag Vets and the founder of Comfort Farms in Milledgeville, Georgia. And I'm here at the Baker Creek Spring Festival in May, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I support Baker Creek. Number one, I'm a small farmer, and one of the things that I help other small farmers to understand is that you have to get the best bang for your buck. So we're competing with big commercialization of food. The commercial industry can produce thousands or millions of pounds of food per day, big corn, big cucumber, big tomato, and they can push those things for cheaper prices. So with a small farm, I can't compete on volume. I need to be able to compete on quality. Baker Creek has rare seeds, indigenous seeds, and these seeds tell a story. And so it's really important for me as a small farm to be able to tell a story with my food. I always say, if seeds could tell a story, what story will they tell? And with our farmers market that's on our farm, people come in and they're looking for varieties that they can't get in Kroger's or Publix or Walmart and things like that. So we grow varieties that Baker Creek provides to give a niche to our customer base. I work with a lot of chefs who are seasonal chefs. They want food that has some traditional and heritage, what's the good name for it? Just regional acceptance where they can actually say, hey, like our Georgia candy roaster in North Georgia that we're growing, they like to say, hey, this is from Georgia, and use it in the application of what the Native Americans use for. You can't find that anywhere except for where companies like Baker Creek are able to produce that. And so that's why we support them, because we're able to have so much depth within our niche market to supply to our customers.
Hey, my name is Tracy from Farm Alarm.
I'm Ashley.
And we have a homestead, a small farm, about 3 acres right here in Missouri. And we have a greenhouse and
we have blackberries.
about 400 blackberries.
And then we have sheep, and we have have chickens and a garden.
And we love coming down here to Baker Creek so we can sow those seeds in our garden. You know, I love Baker Creek just because it's heirloom seeds. It's, you know, they're seed savers, and just hearing the backstories, hanging out with the faculty that helped run this event over this entire weekend and camping with them, just hearing the stories and the heart of Jer, the owner, and the whole everything that goes on here. You can't outgive them. They're genuine, and we're very excited to keep growing, keep on growing, right? And just keep putting those good seeds in the ground.
Yeah, and it's just such a nice environment down here. Everybody coming down here, getting together, like-minded people. It's a great gathering place to meet new people and catch up with old friends too.
And one of the speakers, a farmer from Georgia, John Jackson, I'll call him Action Jackson, had something really interesting to say about the speaker who was removed.
So you were one of the speakers that replaced Clive Bundy, and can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when I first heard about, you know, Clive Bundy was coming in here to talk, and then we got pushed away by a lot of hate messages and things like that because of racially insensitive comments that he made. And you know, the first thing I thought about was, how am I going to like follow up Clive Bundy? Like, that's just not even a thing. Like, who am I? But I sat around and I thought about how was I going to approach the audience about this thing, because I felt like there was something that really needed to be said. Yes, Clive Bundy made some racially insensitive comments. Yes, he has said some things that have probably caused people to get in an uproar. But the main thing I told the audience yesterday was that by Clive Bundy not being here, we missed an opportunity. And the opportunity that we missed was something that we all are here for, and what we're all here to gather around, which is the ability to understand more about our food, sustainability, and doing things that our native ancestors have done that Clive Bundy knows about, that he could have taught us. Let's push away his ideology about politics or how he feels about other things. Let's talk about food. We need to start embracing other people, their cultures. We're always told about those type of things. I was United States Army Ranger, 6 combat deployments. We were out there to win hearts and minds. There's a 20-foot wall that's up there that's built up. What we had to do was take that 20-foot wall and bring it down to a 3-foot wall. How did we do that? By sitting across from one another and talking and engaging in dialogue. I learned that the sheik sitting across from me, who wanted to kill me, I wanted to kill him. There's one thing that is in common. We ate food, we enjoyed music. And so I learned that food and music bring stubborn men to the table. And so with that, Clive Bundy, had he been here, would have taught everybody about growing watermelon in a way in the desert that could not have been done, that was brought by the Native Americans. And he does it successfully. He has a rare seed that every one of us could enjoy and we can learn from. Global warming is a thing. We understand that. Our world is warming. So we miss an opportunity to learn how to grow in warmer climates, in drought-stricken climates. People are going to come in and they're going to have different political views. They're going to have different ideas, religious views. But what we need to do is find a way where we connect. And there's no better way to connect through food. There's no better way to connect with breaking bread. When we knock those 20-foot walls down and bring them down to 3-foot walls, we're not taking away the walls, but what we're actually doing is looking over and saying that, hey, you know what? That is a human. That is a man. I'm going to respect you. I understand that we have some certain things in common. And that's what we need to be doing. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk on that yes, we did miss an opportunity, but going forward, we should embrace the opportunities of what brings us together. You know, by still keeping our integrity. We don't have to accept certain things, nor should we ever, but we also don't have to be nasty and mean about it too. And that's just my takeaway from the day.
Throughout the festival, attendees are welcome to walk around and tour the farm. And I didn't have a chance to do so until right up at the end when the festival was almost over. Ben and I walked around and looked through the greenhouses, and it was just really neat to see all the various things that they're growing right now.
These are oranges, I believe.
And while we were there, Jared, the owner, gave me some permission to harvest some of the bok choy that they were growing, and it was absolutely delicious.
That. I have to try growing these. This is bok choy, baby bok choy.
And one of my favorite greenhouses was the one that had these grow lights in them, and it was absolutely neat. And it was almost, as you're looking inside the greenhouse, it's like, whoa, what kind of party is going on in there? And once Ben and I walked inside and looked around, it was amazing that the things that they were growing, the plants that they were growing inside this greenhouse, they looked so large and so neat, they didn't look real.
That is crazy.
Check out this beet right here, this mammoth beet. Look at these beets. They are just absolutely humongous.
See, to have basil like this right now is ridiculous. This like looks fake right here. See these mini tomatoes over here, Ben?
And there was these tomatoes that I just had to try, and I offered Ben one.
Oh yeah, I'll pick up this thing. Got it on camera, you ate one, I didn't. Just kidding, I ate one too. Pretty good. I may get another one actually. You all right? You don't like tomatoes, I forgot. I completely forgot that Ben does not like tomatoes, but he ate it anyways. Oh man. You're not gonna die, are you?
No, I'm not.
Oh man.
And as the sun was beginning to set and the festival was shutting down, I saw an absolutely gorgeous view of some cows that were grazing in one of their fields.
Time goes by, yeah, you and I are running out, running out. Time goes by, I change my mind about you and I, you and I. So would you stay for a minute so I can be brave? Let me catch my breath. Now I can feel what I'm saying. I'm letting you know this heart's on the edge. You make me be so much better. Promise to love you forever. That's why I wanna spend my life with you. I wanna grow old with you. 'Cause nobody loves you like I do. That I can promise you, promise you, oh promise you.
Overall, we had an absolute blast. This was one of the best times of our lives. And as the sun was almost set, the kids were just having a blast with their new friend Ty running around the tile garden. And as I saw this time coming to a close, it just brought joy, a lot of joy, looking back and thinking back on such a great time that we had here at this festival.
So I can be brave. Let me catch my breath. Now I can feel what I'm saying. I'm letting you know my heart's on the edge.
Well, I look forward to coming to this festival in 2020, and I hope that you will join us there too. Also, we're planning to be at the National Heirloom Expo in Santa Rosa, California, another Baker Creek sponsored event. So please go ahead, come join us. check the show notes below and you can go ahead and buy your tickets now. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Share it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, text, email, whatever. Just share. That's it for today. We'll see you next time. Grow on.
Thanks for watching The Fit Farmer.
There we go.